One local medical doctor says the benefits far outweigh the blood clot risk in getting the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. Of course, it follows the news last week that 6 people out of nearly 7 million who have received the shot later developed potentially serious blood clots, and at least one of those patients died. Local ER doctor and plastic surgeon Dr. Vijay Binding Navale says he agrees with the president's medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, that the J&J vaccine will likely be back in use, possibly by the end of this week.
Blood clots occur in a certain percentage of people, whether or not you're getting vaccinated. And that's the most important thing to realize. Second thing, many infections increase the risk of blood clots, including just having the flu. Just getting the flu itself will do it for you.
And he says the testing protocols for the vaccines are and have been extensive, and that people can have faith that all the vaccines are safe.